Hey folks, how's it going? We are in Galesburg, Illinois for the 50th anniversary Stearman fly-in. So up in Galesburg, Illinois, it's kind of central Illinois. Great time. Tons of aircraft. They're hoping to have over, I think they've got over 100 some odd folks registered. So it'll be kind of cool to see how that goes, but over 100 Stearmans. We're out here, beautiful evenings, flying, just doing nothing but flying. And hopping rides and all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be all sorts of cool stuff going on. You can see some of the folks that have arrived. It's been a busy early week, so it's kind of cool. So it's going to be a good time. So we'll catch you guys later. In the meantime, take a look and see what we did. We basically left Fort Worth, Texas, and headed up to Galesburg, Illinois. Ended up with several aircraft, picked up several aircraft mid-route from Texas, and that's what's going on. So take a look, have a good one. We'll see you on the back end of this thing. Hey, we made it to Galesburg. On part one, we showed you the flight up. Total of 4 aircraft, our aircraft plus 3 others. Had a great time. Lots of flying all week long. Over 150 aircraft eventually registered throughout the week, coming and going. Probably at sometimes maybe 100 folks. They had some cool technical stuff. Every day they had briefings, weather briefings, flyout briefings, things like that. Then they also had some technical things, historical presentations, technical restoration presentations, pretty much anything that you might think about for your Stearman as far as maintaining the aircraft and that kind of stuff. Lots of vendors selling their wares, lots of memorabilia, hats, swag, that kind of stuff. Any parts, almost any parts you can think of for an aircraft.
I'm Lacey. I'm Kay. We're with Dusters and Sprayers Supply out of Chickasha, Oklahoma. We have the world's most complete stock of Stearman parts. If you need a Stearman part, call us. 405-224-1201.
Super vendors. Lots of folks just sitting around talking and talking airplanes.
Hi, I'm Dennis Harbin. I'm with Ragbag Aeroworks, where we do the world's best aviation embroidery. We make banners, t-shirts that do the embroidery. We're at Galesburg for the Stearman fly-in, the National Stearman fly-in. And one of the things that we do with Stearman activity is we customize it. So a person can get all of the markings of their plane on a cap or shirt or jacket. And we've had a lot of fun doing this. The Stearman fly-in's been great this year, and look forward to seeing you. Go to ragbag.com.
Hey Dennis, can you show me one of your t-shirts?
Yeah.
One of the Stearman t-shirts.
Oh, the Stearman t-shirts were so popular there aren't any left, and it's only Friday. You know, what can you do? We've had a great week here at the fly-in, and so yeah, go to ragbag.com. Check it out.
Every day there was something going on. Flyovers, formation flying, flower bombing, spot landing. Just a real active week of activities all week long. No reason why you couldn't be flying your aircraft.
Welcome to the 50th Stearman fly-in. I'm Sergeant Karachi with the Illinois Army National Guard out of Galesburg, Illinois. If you guys want to come out and say, hey, come on out. We'll be out here all weekend.
Right. We got MREs in here. Oh, we got MREs. Look at that.
It was really great to see the local community come out, spend a bunch of time and helping out on the fly-in. National Guard did a great job. Galesburg, local Armory came out with their artillery pieces, their trucks. They were doing rides up and down the flight line, which was great. Even brought some of their aviation assets out. Probably the biggest secret of the U.S. Army is the Chinook helicopter. This thing is probably one of the fastest helicopters, largest helicopters, but just a real moose, and it was really great to see it go through its paces. We were also able to go into town, spend some time there with some folks, get together. Neat little place, Iron Spike Brewing, really nice brew pub, had some great food, great beer, so that was nice to see. Lots of train activity in Galesburg, really neat stuff, something else you can spend some time checking out. We were also able to hit one of the local restaurants down there for a lunch one day. That was really nice. Kind of good to take a little bit of a break away from the air show food, but what's air show food without a good bratwurst and some chips? So it was kind of neat. Great time. Also, it was kind of good to see a modern crop duster, a Air Tractor 802, doing its thing. Another novel thing that was a real treat was to see the Clydesdale team from Budweiser. They came out in full force. They were out every day, not only at the airport, but also in town with their team, showing their stuff. Really neat to see those coming through the flight line and folks getting their pictures taken with a Stearman in front of the Clydesdales. We headed up to Geneseo for barbecue. One of the many flights out there. A lot of other farms to fly out to and others, but the one we chose this week was going out to Geneseo. It was just a real great time. Beautiful airport. If you have the opportunity to fly in, you're up in that area, definitely drop into Geneseo, Illinois. An absolute beautiful airport. We were real fortunate all week long to have absolutely fabulous weather. The weather you're seeing here is pretty much what it was every day. Absolutely spectacular. Winds were light, really not too bad. Every evening, folks were able to get out and do touch and goes and working the pattern up, but pretty much every day the pattern was full of nothing but Stearman biplanes for a solid week. It was really great to see. The city of Galesburg has a fabulous airport. Definitely worthwhile if you're going through the area. Great FBO, great service, really first-class operation there. So if you have a small aircraft, big aircraft, definitely worth the stop. Really neat. And we headed about, I think it was about 60 miles or something in that nature for a trip up to Geneseo from Galesburg. Nice flight, lots of folks going out, so it was kind of neat to see. Beautiful grass airport. It was like a tennis court landing on. It was absolutely fabulous, very well maintained. Just a real pretty airport. So it was kind of an absolute pleasure to fly in. Tons of aircraft there. The town really came out putting this shindig on for the Stearman folks. Beautiful, as I said, beautiful airport. I just can't say enough. They got us parked, marshaled, and then hopped us in a scooter to head up to the main event area where we grabbed some lunch.
Here we go.
Okay, where are we, man?
We're in Geneseo, Illinois.
Geneseo, Illinois.
Golf 8.
Free golf 8. They were cooking pork chops, and they were absolutely fabulous. The food was excellent. Corn, pork chop sandwiches, all the fixings, desserts, everything. Chamber of Commerce, the city, all the various folks at the airport. They just had it all set up, coffee, all the drinks you'd want. So it was just absolutely fabulous. A lot of folks getting together, meeting and greeting. A lot of folks just sitting out watching the aircraft. It was kind of great to see just a ton of folks out on the flight line watching the aircraft taking off and landing. Beautiful, beautiful aircraft. And sounds, of course. It was a great trip. You can see that's it's like a green carpet we're taking off on. It was just absolutely very well maintained and manicured. It was just a really nice airport. And these folks have a lot of GA aircraft, hangars and all that. So nothing but just a lot of very nice activity. All sorts of aircraft are based there. If you have the opportunity, definitely drop in and say hi. Great little airport. After that, pretty much headed direct back to Galesburg. We did a little bit of air work on the way, just doing some maneuvers just for fun because it was such a pretty day. And then came back into Galesburg. And the Stearman flying, one of the things they do set up is a very nice grass runway. So just a really beautiful runway, parallel to the main north-south runway. Really kind of nice. Lots of trains in the area. It's Burlington Northern Depot, so you'll see tons of trains in the area. Really kind of neat to see. Everything was green and lush. It wasn't quite harvest time, but it was getting pretty close. Runway was set up with markers for spot landing. They were doing flower bombing out there. As I said, they were doing some formation work overhead. Aircraft were just busy all day long. Lots of activities. If you bring your airplane up, definitely plan on flying because that's what it's all about, is spending time in the air. End of the week, we headed south, back home. Coming up, we were going with the wind. This time we're going against the wind. But we're leaving Galesburg, headed to Quincy, Marshall, Missouri, Pittsburgh, Kansas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Ardmore, Oklahoma, and then we'd end up back in Sanger, Texas. So about close to 600 miles each way. So total trip was about 1,200 miles, about 20 hours on the stick. And as we said, in a open cockpit airplane, there's just a lot of preparation, a lot of getting everything in the right place. Helmets on, communications hooked up. Don't drop anything, otherwise you have to go diving for it. So it's a real, you just got to plan on what's going on in the cockpit. We ended up taking off early. Dew was still on the airplane, so we planned on taking off on the paved runway so we didn't get sling stuff all over the airplane, but took off at sunup. We were fortunate enough to have, we picked up a rental car from a friend of ours that was up there. We just continued her contract, and we had that for a few days. It really made it enjoyable to get around. We didn't have to mooch rides. First couple days there are shuttles back and forth to hotels, no problem, but it was kind of nice to have our own car for a few days where we didn't have to make any schedules or anything like that. So leaving at Galesburg, took the big runway, and then we ended up getting into a situation where we had a bunch of wind coming out of the south. Again, the flow in the center part of the North America is a northeast flow, so we knew that we would probably have a little bit of wind on our nose, but we didn't realize that we had a front come through, and it was just a real chore getting back because we had so much wind on the nose. So we ended up staying low most of the trip, stay away from that. Worked out pretty well. It was kind of a workout, but it wasn't too bad. Got more flight time. Hey, you know, it's all about flight time, so we were able to get more flight time. Kind of hated to say goodbye to Galesburg, but off we went. Next stop was Quincy. Great airport, big airport. I didn't take a lot of video of the stuff because I just didn't have the camera set up. What was enjoyable was flying over the smaller part of the country, center part. Flew into Marshall. Marshall was a real pretty neat little airport. A lot of crop dusters, and then great grass runway that they have. Really was enjoyable landing on grass again. Just a really super airport. Very nice folks there. Easy to refuel. As I mentioned, I really enjoy flying over the center part of the United States, or actually any small town, rural area. The crops are so pretty, the colors, the small town activity. There's just nothing better, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing better than a small town USA. Just nice to see everything there. Flying, following roads, and sometimes you end up over roads and railroads, so it's kind of interesting just to see the change of crops, the change of colors, all that stuff. As we flew farther south, harvest was starting to take place, so it was kind of interesting to see some of the combines out gathering up the harvest. So as we're going farther south, the topography changed, but harvest was starting earlier, a couple hundred miles south. Very much the small towns, rural towns, pretty much filling out the breadbasket of the world here. It's just so neat to see. As we're continuing back toward Texas, we ended up coming into Tulsa. One of the neat things in Tulsa was seeing a 1930s air marker on the northwest side of town, so that was kind of neat. Overnighted in Tulsa and Riverside, did a turn there, then headed out because we were just so beat. Headed out to on day 2. Winds were a little bit lighter, which was good, and we headed out there. One of the neat things there was, as we were taxiing out, we ended up kind of spooking a hawk that was, I guess, working on breakfast. You can see it hopping onto that sign there, the runway sign, and it was pretty well fearless. It was not afraid of the big yellow bird. It paid attention to it, but it sure as heck wasn't worried about the big yellow bird coming into its territory. I just thought that was kind of neat. A couple birds of different feathers there going out and doing their morning flying, so it was kind of nice. Again, kind of a dawn launch, pick up the smooth air, the light air, so that was our deal there, is to try to get on as best we could in the best air of the day. Nice runway at Riverside. Big flight department there, the one of the local schools, very active with the flight school, so if you are going into Riverside, just be advised there's a lot of flight training activity in the area. They do handle corporate aircraft too, but yeah, mind the flight training in the area. It is kind of busy. Next stop was Ardmore. Got a quick turn there. The flight line, or line check, I guess it's called, is the FBO there. They did us a great job there. Gave us a quick turn. This was pretty much the last leg of the flight. It was going to be a kind of an easy one, about 70 miles back to home, so it worked out pretty well. Armory used to be a Air Force base years ago, World War II, and then actually up into the 50s. I think it was active into the 50s, possibly into the 60s. Lots of neat history there at the line shack in Ardmore. So if you have a chance, you see yourself coming through the area, I would definitely recommend Ardmore for either small aircraft or corporate aircraft as far as doing a turn there. So really great folks, super service. I just can't say enough of them. They've done a fabulous job there. Then over Lake Murray again, just south of Ardmore. It's kind of neat to see back in windmill country. There's a bunch of new ones going up. It was kind of interesting. About a month earlier, I'd flown over this direct route, the same route, so it was kind of some familiar things out there looking around. Weather was beautiful. Just very fortunate the whole trip. The weather from Illinois all the way down to Texas was just great, except for the wind. The wind was not that great, but hey, we'll take it. Tucker Tower, I think, is that point sitting up there that looks like a lighthouse out there. And sometimes you follow railroads, sometimes you out in the country. It just depends. You can see now we're back into a lot of wooded area, ranches. Not quite so much the crops. Small towns, still small towns again. Kind of neat to see. And big casinos. So we're coming back to civilization. just north of Texas, coming over the Texas border that we call it, which is the North Texas border, the Red River. And coming into the pattern at the home patch. So it's kind of bittersweet. We're back home, but then again, the trip's over. So it was a nice to come home to a nice smooth field and great weather. A little bit of bump. You can still see the aircraft bumping around, so it was still choppy. That pretty much that whole week, the next following week was pretty bouncy for us, but. Scott did a great job bringing it back to the home patch and laying it down, so it worked out fabulous. Busy rudder. If you're flying a tail dragger, your rudder is always moving. So if you have the opportunity to fly a tail dragger or learn to fly a tail dragger, there's no mystery to it. You just learn that your rudder is a good thing, and it'll keep you busy. Coming back into the barn, so this is the end of a great trip. We're both pretty well tired. So that was a pretty fun trip, huh?
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, except for that 30-knot headwind we had.
Yeah, okay, just so you folks didn't understand. Okay, on the way back, if you looked at part one, you did.
Right.
There was a lot of takeoffs and landings and all that. Well, actually takeoffs because the stupid GoPro wouldn't last, right?
Right.
But on this one, coming back, I would say my enthusiasm waned a little bit. So I wasn't running 2 cameras, I didn't have much stuff. So I wasn't really thrilled, but we were also, we were getting beat up by the wind. What was the wind? Well, on the winds aloft coming back?
Basically, they were out of the west, directly on the nose at 30 knots. And we had a beautiful flight plan. We were going to hit grass runways all the way back from Galesburg to Texas.
That was the point.
And that was going to be like a flight of passage, flying over the farms and landing on every single grass runway. Unfortunately, with the 30-mile-an-hour headwind, we weren't able to make the distance. Yeah. So we had to change up in flight. We took turns flying. And you won't see that in the video because Bill was holding the camera, so he can't. Apparently, he's not talented enough to take a picture and fly at the same time.
Amongst other things. Well, okay, so we had 30 in the nose at what? At 2,500 or something?
It was like 1,500 and above.
1,500 above.
Blowing.
Which meant, if you notice the video, we're kind of low.
We're down low.
We're down low, and we're using the sectional chart, not the low altitude chart, because we're looking for things pointing up out of the ground.
Yeah, basically what we did, thank goodness there were 2 of us, because we were flight planning on the fly based on the winds and our ground speed. And I got 50 miles an hour, pretty much everything on the ground goes faster than you. So we would flight plan, and I had ForeFlight on my iPad.
Yeah, and I had ForeFlight on my phone.
Yes, and we were running off ship power on both of those. So once we got our flight plans loaded, it was like never get out of the boat in Southeast Asia. It was like stay on the magenta line, because we would chum the charts for towers.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing how many cell towers and
they are,
radio towers.
Because we were 800 AGL.
Yeah, and we're out in the corn patch, so there's nothing around.
But every now and then there's a 3,000-foot tower somewhere. So once we got our line popped on the maps and we zoomed in looking for obstructions, it was pretty much whatever you do, stay on the magenta line.
Yeah. So we went from Galesburg. So coming southwest, our plan was 2,500 southwest, 2,500 or 4,500, and that just went out the window.
Right, that would have worked great for the grass runways, because then we would have had the distance.
Yeah, so we were down staying below that shear level. And you're playing, what's this thing cruise at normal knots?
Well,
what do you flight plan for?
we use miles per hour basically.
What's a bigger number?
It's 80 miles per hour is what I can get in a no wind.
Yeah.
And
we had 20 at least on the nose.
Yeah, we were hurt.
So cars were passing us, trucks were passing us.
Yeah, snails were going fast.
I didn't see any tractors passing us. Okay, so we went from Galesburg, took off from there. We still had dew in the plane.
So it was early morning, it was kind of cool.
And we took off on the paved runway because we didn't want to crap the plane out with
Yes,
moisture.
and that was in the direction we were going.
Yeah, straight south.
And there was about another 7 or 8 Stearmans all heading in the same direction. It was actually kind of fun because it was like a massive gaggle. We were all talking on the radio, and
so that was kind of cool.
Everybody's complaining about the wind and trying to figure out where
got
we
into Quincy. Quincy, nice big airport, great service, quick turn. I don't know if we did a potty stop there, but we did. It was a quick turn. We were only 69 nautical southwest of Galesburg.
Yeah,
so it was kind of a quick turn.
Well, we had to pop in and get gas there so we could make the next leg, which was a longer leg.
And that next one was Marshall. That was 106 nautical. And to your point, you're not going to fly this thing to 30-minute reserve. You're going to keep.
No. The Stearman's got like 46 gallons and it burns 13 an hour. In 2 hours, you really want to get out, and that leaves you enough fuel to actually go somewhere.
Yeah, now
the pumps are broke.
I'm going to be honest with you. The trip from Quincy to Marshall. Okay, so we went to Quincy, quick turn, big airport. I think that's where the MiG-29s were on the ramp.
Yes,
some
that
cool,
was nice, very
cool
nice
stuff.
airport.
Very nice airport. Then we went to Marshall, Missouri, smaller town. Now I got to be honest with you. That leg, and you probably saw it. That leg from Quincy to Marshall was kicking my ass.
That was a bumpy ride.
Okay, I was ready to either fall asleep or puke, puking because it was just tiring. In fact, when we went down to the pumps, if you noticed, I walked up to the terminal, which, if anybody's from Marshall, super guys.
Yeah,
there was
fantastic.
It was like the coffee clutch was up there, and they were hanging out wondering why idiots were flying yellow airplanes when it was windy. But that was great. And then that airstrip, that runway was gorgeous.
It was beautiful. Yeah, it was a grass runway there.
Except for the antennas.
Yeah, just for sport. Yeah,
It just kind of make it interesting.
felt like Charlie Brown's kite there one time.
Then we went to, so that was a stop. That was a quick turn, gas and potty stop. Then Pittsburgh, Kansas was 122 nautical. That was a little bit longer legs.
That was my favorite place to land because of the bacon factory.
Oh yeah. If any of you guys, I forget whether it was
right on Short Final. It was on I think it was.
Right, there's a county road there, but there's a bacon processing plant. And if you just want to hang out and do holds.
Yeah, holds over the bacon.
Over the bacon.
Yeah, because it smelled wonderful.
It smelled wonderful. So that was Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's kind of cool. They World War II contract training for liaison pilots.
Yes, and they had lots of history on the walls, lots of
it
was pretty active too. There's a lot of young students coming through and learning.
So then we're getting whipped. We're getting whipped. So then next
it's been a long day. At 30 knots on the nose.
Yeah. So then next stop was Tulsa. Went into, instead of going into the big airport, TUL, we went into Riverside, Romeo Victor Sierra.
It's a beautiful approach down the river. And my thought on that was let's just get another 30 minutes down the road because we just wanted to get home after a week. And let's just say it's not the greatest airport for radial engine
things for like tie downs, ramp service, and other things that we're not going to talk about. But Tulsa, on the other hand, is very good.
Yes.
Just saying that.
Yeah, if you go
to great town, Riverside. So then we bagged it for the night. Went out, got some Mexican and a beer that night, and then up early the next day, Ardmore.
Yes,
which is always
love Ardmore. The line shack there is a fantastic. That's a museum, basically.
Yeah, and then the turn. I mean, they give you a quick turn.
Yes.
Good service. Everything's squeaky clean. They've got a restaurant during the weekdays, but I've never, since it's been running.
Well, Ardmore was an Air Force base back in the day.
B-17's in there.
Yeah, and so the line shack, everything in there is period 1940s. It's amazing, and plus they have Jake's Place.
Yeah, Jake's Place, the restaurant there.
The restaurant there. So it used to be the old Blue Pig years ago.
But it's since the folks are running it now, that kind of do a lot of the business on the airport, they have done a fabulous job.
Yeah, if you're looking for a place to go to get a hamburger, go up to Ardmore. Yeah, I think Jake's place is only open like 11 to 2.
Yeah. If you got a G650 that you need to do a quick turn on, they'll do you right.
Yeah, so go up there and see the line shack. It's neat.
Yeah, and then we did a quick turn there. So still early morning, and then we got into here, and I think it was only 69 miles or something like that.
It wasn't far, but it was a real pretty flight.
Very pretty flight. And once we got over the Red River, and that was you brought up earlier when we were talking, is the topography from Illinois to Texas, and the difference between the ranches going to more rural to farmland to different crops and the colors of the crops.
Oh, I loved this. This was, if you ever read the book, The Flight of Passage, with the 2 teenage boys that rebuild the Super Cub in their basement and fly all the way out to, what do they call it? Not Tucson, they called it some other word. He couldn't pronounce Tucson because he didn't have any Spanish in him, but that's what it was. It was 800 feet for 2 days.
For 2 days.
And it was just absolutely gorgeous. The fields were beautiful.
And going up was great. Coming back was great. So between the 2 trips, we went 600 miles for an air show. Well, not even an air show, for a fly-in.
For a fly-in.
600 miles for a fly-in in an
80-year-old antique World War II trainer.
And so when you think about it, you can't. It was only 20 hours flight time.
And before we left, though, we did do a mini pre-flight.
Yeah.
And we carried our spares. You know, we always have
normal stuff.
Normal stuff that you might need, an inner tube for the tire, things that you just can't, like, you know, get overnight.
And we were a little concerned about the tailwheel. And you saw the gratuitous tailwheel shots.
Yes.
Which we captured no data. Because it worked great.
Yeah, it did. It's like, okay, I think the tailwheel knew that we were looking at it and did decide, well, we're going to stop shaking.
We're going to settle down. So that actually worked pretty well. And then on the flight back, we hit one grass airport.
Well, it was a beautiful plan.
But now that was kind of cool. I did not know that you had a 4-flight overlay.
Yes, there is. Well, one of the young flight instructors that I knew had it, and I said, that's really cool. Can you send me the file? And he did. Yeah. And it's out there. I'm pretty sure if you search for it, I think it's gas with grass. Yeah. And it's just a plug-in for 4-flight. Yeah, you'll get the email or the link, and then when you go to open it, they'll say, how do you want to open it? You say, open it for 4-flight. And then it's just right there, and you scroll down. You want your overlays. You want winds, temperatures, or you want 100 low lead, or you just want just with grass, and they all pop up.
Yeah, it'll populate the
right
tabulation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I think 4-flight brings it in like they would bring a map update for, say, you add a state or something.
I don't know how it does.
I think worked great.
It's pretty cool. And
yeah, so that worked great. The shindig itself was a week of flying. Some presentations.
Lots of flying. There were over 100 Stearmans there at one point, 150.
Yeah, they got over 150.
Yeah, but not all on the same day, but because it was a week long. But they had that many registered, and it was quite crowded. In fact, it was so crowded that in the mornings when everyone was flying, it was like, we're not even going to bother, because it just, it's like a beehive. Yeah. So
we ended up doing one fly out. We went and visited Galesburg, neat town, a lot of stuff going on. We hit that one brew pub, the Iron Spike.
Yeah, they had a nice train museum there.
Had a train museum. Cool. There's some stuff to do. So if you want to go up, go up. If you're into Stearman's,
the Prime Rib Festival, which we did not get to.
Yeah, over in the next town over. We're doing that next time.
Yeah,
we're going to the Prime Rib Festival. So there's just stuff going on. It was kind of cool to see. We went up to Geneseo.
The sweet corn and the pork chops. Man, that was some good sweet corn.
That was worthwhile. So if you're into Stearman's, biplanes, model airplanes, whatever you want to do, they had the Clydesdales there. They had National Guard with all their cool toys. There were other airplanes that flew in out in the paddock. There were a bunch of different things. So, but come check it out. I think it's definitely.
Well, it was a bucket list thing that I've always wanted to do. I wanted to take the open cockpit biplane and just go fly across the country like a barnstormer. And this airplane had been at the very first Stearman fly-in in 1972. And so when I figured that out, looking through the records, it's like, well, we have to go. This is the 50th. So, because I think there were only maybe 27 airplanes.
Something like that, a couple dozen. So anyway, that was kind of cool. So that's what we did this summer.
And the airplane flew fantastic.
Yeah, flew fantastic. And we'll do something else We'll do another segment on this plane because this plane has a nice history.
It does.
It's got a really rich history, so we'll do that and your family history on the plane and all.
Well, it's a local. It was based in Norman, Oklahoma, and I didn't know Norman, Oklahoma had a naval air station until I started Googling it.
Yeah, in the middle of the corn.
In the middle of a cornfield.
So we'll do another segment on that. But that's it for this time. Next year, you think you want to do it again?
Certainly in the springtime. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly in the spring. You got some fun coming up. That's a drive, but maybe you got Jennings as far as the Stearman guys go.
The end of the year fly-in in Jennings is usually the first week in October.
So that's something
we always can go down to Ranger, and that's a fun time.
So Ranger, so it's kind of cool showing up. When you show up with a yellow biplane, it's people smile.
Well, up there in Ardmore, they all came out because it's all 1940s, and they were just loving on the airplane.
Yeah, so we had that. We actually, and that was one of the things on our gas turns. We were delayed a little bit on some of them because we had to do a lot of photo op, which was great.
Yeah, it's fun, but you got to add the 20 minutes of chit chat in when you stop somewhere.
So it was really good. So anyway, that's the trip that's part 2, end of the deal, and
beautiful scenery.
Thank you very much for taking me with you.
No, it's my pleasure.
As autopilot.
As chief mechanic.
Chief mechanic, autopilot, etc. So, and it worked out great. We met some folks up there. We met Hunter. We met Vanessa. We met a couple other folks. So we made some new friends up there, and met some old friends. So it's kind of cool. So definitely put on your list.
Rich Canes.
A lot of cool guys. So we shall see you later. That's it for this episode. Catch you later. Go fly.
And I need a hanger rat shirt that's long sleeve.
This is the only one I got.
That's the only one you got. All right, we'll make some more.
Okay, we're out.
Good day.